Jenny is with us in Houston, Texas. Hi, Jenny. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. That scripture you just read is very, very fitting.
Okay, cool. How can I help?
So my husband and I are really just needing to know our next steps. We recently our daughter was diagnosed with a terminally ill. She was terminally ill, and so she passed away an hour after she was born, and this was just 7 weeks ago.
Oh, my goodness.
We live, so we moved in with my in-laws, and are just looking for, how soon do we need to buy our next house? How much should we spend? Those types of questions.
Okay. What did the move have to do with the loss of your daughter? I don't know the connection.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant with her, early in the pregnancy is when we found out something wasn't right. And so we didn't know if this would be something that she could live with but be severely disabled. And so we didn't know what kind of medical bills we'd be looking at, or if we would need the help of our in-laws to take care of our 4-year-old son and be back and forth to the hospital. So we sold our house just for flexibility for that.
Okay, in preparation of the oncoming storm. That makes sense.
Right, yes.
And I assume you got money from the sale of your house?
We did. So we have about $105 in cash, and we don't have any debt.
And this was 7 weeks ago, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are you?
Very fresh.
How old are you?
27.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Well, other than just dealing with the raw emotion that any normal human would be dealing with in your situation, and I'm dealing with just listening to you with grandbabies myself, other than dealing with that, mathematically or financially, I don't know why you wouldn't turn the page and just buy a home and start the next chapter of this journey that you're on called your life, right? And that's not to be disrespectful to your daughter that passed, but it is the next chapter, and that is our reality that we sit in. And so, I mean, certainly some number of months or years from now, you won't be living with your in-laws. You will have a life and a house, right?
Right, and I guess my question would just be like, we don't know how much we want to spend, and I want to make sure we're not, jumping into something, making an emotional decision. So
yeah, I would agree with that, and it's tough to make a big decision in the midst of this much pain, and that's the only thing giving me pause here. But everything else is lined up, and so the guidelines that we use around here are: don't buy more house than you can put on a 15-year fixed. That is a fourth of your take-home pay. So what's your monthly take-home pay?
About $5,500.
Okay. All right. And so that tells us we're in the $1,200, $1,500 range on your monthly take-home, on your house payment on a 15-year fixed with $100,000 down.
Right.
And you're debt-free, I assume.
We are, and so we would save some of that for our 3 to 6 months.
Right. Okay. So maybe I don't know, $70,000, $80,000 down, whatever. Right.
Right.
But with that much down, what mortgage amount at current mortgage rates, which are running about 4.5 on a 15-year, roughly, what does that spit out to be a $1,500, $1,200 house payment? And that gives you some guidelines, and you're not going to be in trouble with that. You're not going to be, quote, unwise. Now, the emotional part is just out doing anything that you do. Trying to, quote, normalize your life with this much grief, it just takes a little while, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just a process. And I get, what you might do is kind of... anytime I'm facing something I don't understand or is new to me, I try to read something about it. That's helpful. And so what popped into my head, and you probably have already done it, but I'm just trying to think, if I was in your shoes, and I can't even imagine being in your shoes, But I would read the stages of grief, and I would kind of give myself a little bit of guideline and say, okay, I'm going to be in denial this period of time. I'm going to be angry this period of time. I'm going to, and so by Christmas, I'm going to be ready to look for a house. Or by Thanksgiving, I'm going to be ready to look for a house. Or by Halloween, I'm going to be ready to look for a house. Or now I'm ready because I've already kind of gone through that. Or whatever, And it's not to say you're ever going to be completely over this. You probably won't your whole life. It'll be part of your life, It's part of your story now, and you don't want to forget. That wouldn't be right. But there is a healing to where you can breathe better one day than you breathed another day. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I would get where I can breathe good before I start buying a house.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's 7. I don't think it's a year. That doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't want to live with my mother for a year. You probably don't. You're probably ready to, just to close the chapter on close that chapter and move to the next chapter. So it would also be okay to rent for 6 months and just heal. That would be an okay thing. Okay. It just creates a double move is all. Where's your furniture?
So we sold most of it. We have a tiny storage unit.
Okay.
I'm a garage sale bargain hunter type person. So most everything we sold was stuff that I got at garage sales. And honestly, we made money on it after living on it for 3 years. So we kept the furniture that we bought new.
What are you feeling like? What's your husband and you, between your husband and you, the two of you, when do you feel like you ought to buy? When do you feel like your head's going to be clear enough to do that?
We kind of talked about the new year. Like you said, we kind of talked about starting to look in January. So
okay. Well, that'd be all right.
Yeah, between now and then, we can save probably another $25,000. So
I'm not worried about that part. I'm worried about your broken heart.
Yeah.
That's all I'm worried about. I want to just give your broken heart time to heal a little. And January sounds good. That feels wise. And everything's cool living where you're living. There's no toxic environment, no weirdness there with all this that's going on.
Not at all. Right.
Okay. So it's a nurturing environment for this time of your life.
It is, and it's been extremely helpful because we do have a 4-year-old, so the live-in help has been
everything's helpful when you have a 4-year-old.
That's the truth.
Oh, we've got 5 grandkids under 4. When they're all together, one of them is in meltdown at all times. So yeah, everything's helpful. Oh, that's the truth. Well, that's okay. Yeah, you got some good backstop. You got grandma there to help and grandpa there to help, and give yourself a little time. And in the first of the year, we're going to kick into gear again, and that's when we'll turn the page the rest of the way. And then we'll just have some time to have Thanksgiving, giving thanks, and have Christmas, and have some celebrations. I like that. I'm with you. Okay. That feels good. I like that. And not that you need my permission, you don't. And then when you do it, do a 15-year fixed where the payment's no more than a fourth of your take-home pay, regardless of whatever your down payment is, okay?
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the call. I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't even imagine. Wow.